Hi, I'm Tara, and you're watching SumoStew, where I make videos about my journey learning about sumo. Today, I am joined by sumo legend Konishiki. He's the first non-Japanese born wrestler to make it to the second highest rank in the prestigious top division of Grand Sumo Wrestling. He's also a musician who has debuted 4 albums and a TV star appearing in numerous Japanese TV shows and movies like Fast and the Furious. He's also a philanthropist who has raised funds for the 2011 Japan earthquake and the founder of Konishiki Kids Foundation, as well as the CEO of Konishiki Power, where he self-manages his numerous business ventures, including his own clothing brand. He's now in the middle of publishing his own book about his career in sumo and his life as a foreigner in Japan. Konishiki, welcome to the channel. Such an honor.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
That's a very great opening.
Thank you so much.
You did your homework.
So after retiring from sumo in 1997, you didn't really shy away from the spotlight and was a public personality for a while. When someone is in the public eye like that, everyone thinks they know the person. So in your book, will you be showing a side of Konishiki that people haven't really seen yet?
I think the majority of the book is talking about the process and talking about the emotions, talking about the backside of what created this creature, Konishiki. And what I'm trying to do with the book is actually, people will know about me if you go Google Konishiki. You have my whole life story on the internet already. But what people don't know is how the mindset and how would you say, attack my everyday, my every wall that I hit because there's a culture, different culture. And sumo itself is a different culture. So the question I brought up to try to make this book different, a different approach, it's like, what made this 18-year-old boy from Hawaii, comes from a Samoan background, think and what made him like successful in his ways, yeah? I'm trying to find parts of my upbringing because I was brought up in Hawaii. I was brought up in a Samoan household. My parents are Samoan, 100% Samoan, and we live Samoan culture in the house. But when we leave the house, it's America, so in Hawaii. So it's like 2 different cultures, and in Hawaii, very mixed cultures. We have different Asians, we have Polynesians, we got Caucasians, we got Black, we have a beautiful mixture and harmony in Hawaii, so everybody gets along well. Then when I came to sumo, I thought sumo was Japan. To find out, sumo world is completely a different culture compared to the Japanese culture. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I have to keep my room cold because I have golden retrievers in my house.
Oh, yeah, I have a Shih Tzu as well. She's behind me right now. She's still sleeping.
So it's getting to summer, it's get humid, so we always keep our house cold. But anyway, I'm trying to pick up pieces that the way I grew up, what I grew up in Hawaii, in the house and outside of the house, and then I'm trying to find pieces of the culture of Japan and this culture in sumo culture that compare to each other or similar to how I was grew up. So, and because you got to think about it. I was only 18 when I came. So I'm trying to find the ways, what made me motivate me to pursue or even get through it. I was just trying to get away from home and finding a way with knowing that coming to sumo wouldn't cost my family anything. Financially, I didn't, and that's the only thing I worried about because I didn't want to see my parents worrying about, me needing financial support when I leave. And once they told me it was free to come to Japan, they pay for my trip, I have a place to stay, it was a go. I just left. I just came.
My next question is actually about you like your decision making process at the time? Because you had told the story about the famous wrestler King Curtis Lokea calling you over to tell you to pursue sumo when you were at the beach skipping classes in your last weeks of high school. At the time, you were actually in football, and you also played trombone well enough to represent Hawaii in the National Jazz Festival. And you even received a scholarship in a prestigious music school. On top of that, you were also a power lifter, deadlifting around 250 kilograms at 16 years old. But with all the career paths you could have gone into, why did you choose a sport that you had no idea what it was in a country you virtually knew nothing of? Can you take us through your decision-making process at the time?
The decision process was really quick. And the bottom line, when I met Curtis the Bull at the beach, I never decided to come. I was just sitting down to respect. I had to sit down because in Hawaii, if somebody, an elder talk to you, you have to kind of sit down and listen, right? So I was still in high school and I sat down and listened. He had so much knowledge of Japan because he was wrestling in the era when pro wrestling was one of the hugest sport in Japan. Everybody watched pro wrestling during the year. And there was a guy who's an ex-sumo wrestler who's probably the most biggest name in pro wrestling in Japan. His name was Nikki Dozan. He was actually an ex-sumo wrestler and became a pro wrestler. So my decision was kind of easy when he told me that Jesse Kuolua Takamiya was coming to Japan and I could meet him. Then that's where I said, yeah, I'll meet up with him. And when Jesse explained to me that, if you ever decide to come, we pay for your trip, you come and you live in the stable, you don't have to worry about financially, you live in the stable. So you don't need money there to be even part of sumo. They take care of you. And so I guess this was the turning point that I didn't have to worry about financially. All I had to do is just go. Mm-hmm. And that's what this book is so unique, because I'm still trying to answer questions that how the hell an 18-year-old would decide stuff like that? You have to be kind of crazy at the same time,
One of your father's advice that you mentioned in one of your interviews is that you need to be as Japanese as you can be. And a while ago, you were talking about Samoan culture. So I'm curious, was there ever a time that you had a conflict within yourself that you wanted to represent more of your own culture, your Samoan culture, the American culture, while you were a big name in sumo?
As I got into the higher ranks, they always introduced me as a Hawaii Rishi, and then I always had to correct them. I'm Samoan, so I was a Samoan born in Hawaii, and that's the only thing I would tell the media. But my dad meant right too, because and the thing he was trying to say was just so correct, and I found that out. For me, I'm glad I listened, because it worked for me. And that's the thing that didn't work for a lot of foreigners that came after me, because they kind of put that, oh, bro, I'm from Hawaii, I'm American, I'm this, I'm that. So you cannot mix culture when you come to somebody's country. You cannot come here like, I'm American, I'm gonna do this, And that's the dumbest and that's the wrongest attitude you can have going into somebody's country. And my dad was trying to say, you gotta accept everything about it because it's Japan, It's a funny thing. When I read in the high rank, I was on tour and stuff. So I come back. I've got a few kids from Hawaii to join my stable, right? Young boys. Yeah. So when I went on my summer tour, I came back, and then it's so funny. Like, the mentality, you can see that in their heads is like they're in Japan, but they're still like, I'm Hawaii, and nothing has changed in their heads, right? So he goes to me, one of the boys goes, bruh, freaking guys, bruh, I went to the swimming pool, man. Bruh, all I saw was Japanese. I go, brother, you in Japan, you should only see Japanese, right? So they're still young. They came in when they were like 19, right? 19. And I didn't see it that way. I knew I was coming to Japan, and that's one of the things that was good about it was I was open-minded. I was ready to accept whatever. And I told myself, the only way you can get through this is just, you have to take it as it comes, you know? Early in my career, they used to stop us from staring at each other because I would stare down any of my opponent, even though I was younger than a lot of guys. I busted my knee, I busted my fingers, you know. I see guys broken their noses. It's an instant contact. Anything can happen, you know. So